guys, how's it going? So our main goal for today is to do a little bit of reorganizing, repotting, just kind of resetting here in the Hartley and in the greenhouse. We recently brought in this begonia. I brought the saucer in. I just need somebody to lift the pot up so I can get the saucer underneath it, but it's doing really well. It's such a beautiful Rex begonia called Space Age Black Hole. We also brought this one in as well, but it was a couple of months ago I picked up 3 different varieties of Streptocarpus. So the common name is Cape Primrose, and they have been performing so beautifully in the studio. I've just had them underneath grow lights, which I think that they've really benefited from because it's just been pretty much nonstop flowers. This morning I took all of them out to the greenhouse so we could get them repotted. The greenhouse out there is a really good place to make a big mess, so we're gonna head out there in a minute. But I just wanted to give you a little look at the area where they're going to go, hopefully. I'm thinking mostly on this bench right here on the countertop because you can see the lighting here. It gets a little bit of morning sun, but it's pretty filtered through the day, as opposed to this one here gets quite a lot of sun. I took the curtain down and we could put that back up, but it's pretty warm today. Not necessarily warm outside, but warm in here. It's only a high of 62 today, but when the sun comes through this glass, my goodness, like the backs of the pots, they're like hot to the touch. So our cacti and succulents do real well. I think I'm gonna move all the amaryllis out. Been struggling with mealybugs on those anyway. And haven't really given them enough attention to take care of the problem. So I think if we go put those in a spot all together so that they're not, around everything else, I think that would be good. But anyway, so I'm just thinking of a refresh here. Want to add in some color, possibly a couple right here. And I wouldn't mind sneaking a couple like on windowsills. I think that'd be nice. We're also gonna need to figure out what to do with all of these plants right here that are on this plant rack. And this will be a project for a different day, but a day coming here really soon because this is typically where we put our Christmas tree. I was thinking we might do our Christmas tree right here instead of it right in the center. I don't know, for something different. I've even contemplated doing possibly a smaller tree in here, maybe in one of the corners or a couple of trees instead of one big one. Like it would be beautiful to put a small tabletop Christmas tree right here on the counter. And we could also have a Christmas tree, like a skinny tall one in one of the corners or another tabletop Christmas tree on one of the stands over there. I don't know. Before we head to the greenhouse to repot Streptocarpus, I do want to gather up, I've got the gator sitting right out front. I want to gather up all the amaryllis and anything else that I kind of want to have moved out of here for just the time being. so we got pretty much everything moved off of this table first, and I was able to incorporate quite a number of them into this stand, which doesn't help my predicament for later on when I need to figure out if this is where we want our Christmas tree, but there's plenty of ledge space. We can just line everything up if we need to, and I think that would be pretty as well. But it allowed for room to move everything off of this counter right here, which was the goal. And we've got room to spare. We have room for a couple of small plants here and a few small plants right around the base of our jasmine. But these are all looking really good, you guys. Everything's looking so healthy. I groomed everything. We are gonna be tackling some of our mixed succulent arrangements that we put together last winter. Like this one right here, you can see there's a couple of spots where succulents didn't thrive that we just need to refresh, but overall looking really beautiful. And we're also going to tackle this one right here. We put this together, it's been over a year. It was last September, I believe, and I have not touched it in terms of adding anything new. I've just kept it watered. That's basically it. We had one little section over here where a couple of them didn't take, but you can see that these are already getting so big, and like this one right here coming all the way out, we'll be able to take, you know, pieces and parts and probably complete this whole arrangement just with plants that this one has produced. Look at the crassula blooming, the Haworthia right here. No, it's not a Haworthia. What is that? How come I can't remember? Anyway, we've enjoyed all kinds of different blooms throughout this past year on this one. But isn't that amazing? This just goes to show, I always talk about how you can cram succulents in together, and usually at about a year mark, you have to do a little bit of grooming, a little bit of popping some things out or putting new things in. Now this is exactly what I'm talking about right here. This is usually how it goes. I don't intend on moving this one anywhere though. This one loves its spot clearly. It's done so well. I don't want to risk having any of the plants not like a shift of location. Oh, it looks so good. I love it. Okay, step one of this project is done. So now we can head to the other greenhouse to pot up the streptocarpus, and we'll take all of the things that we gathered from in here and take care of whatever ailments they have. I will show you. So we've got these right here from the amaryllis back, no, echeveria back, all have mealybugs. So we're going to cut back amaryllis, clean up any plant material that looks bad, and then spray them. We've got a rickrack cactus, isn't that what it's called? Anyway, it just has never taken to its repot, and it looks a little bit like it looks dry, like it desperately needs water, but I give it water all the time. And there's moisture in the soil, so I don't know. We'll just wait on that one. This is a mixed arrangement that I think we put together 2 years ago, and it hasn't seen any recuperation. So I'm just going to set that one aside, and we'll tackle that one later as well. And then we have this right here, which these are amaryllis white ones. They're beautiful. This was a gorgeous Christmas display last year, and I had it inside till just a couple of weeks ago. We brought them out. It was when we cut that big bundle of beautiful firelight hydrangea blooms and put it on the landing table. That's when I took last year's Christmas display down. And I think we'll get more blooms from these. So anyway, I'm just going to set them aside in the studio underneath the grow light and just let them kind of do their thing. Okay, we are going to cut back these plants and spray them before I bring them into the greenhouse. Okay, I just brought the little succulent planter and this one in here. Tuck that back there. These don't have any bugs that I can see, so I think we're good to go, leaving those in here. Whew, this will take care of a lot of the problem, just getting the old foliage removed. I don't know if you can kind of see all that, all those mealybugs. Ooh, so gross. I'm going to remove all of the stuff around these bulbs as well, because that will also help eliminate any issue. Basically eliminating any of the nooks and crannies we possibly can for these bugs to hide. I don't know that one had any. Huh. Oh man, this one is covered. Gross. I'm gonna cut this whole plant back. So on this echeveria right here, which was absolutely covered, I used a lens brush right here. These are so handy because they're just really soft. You can use any kind of soft paintbrush. And I used that to brush all the leaves off, top and bottom, because it doesn't leave fingerprint marks. And you know, echeverias, they kind of create that powder on their leaves. And if you touch their leaves, it kind of ruins the appearance a little bit. So if you can use something that's softer, a little less abrasive, that's always handy. And then I sprayed everything down with neem. Not everything yet. I still need to spray down the amaryllis. Okay, so here's our little mealybug section right here, but they're all clean right now, as far as I can tell. Those mealybugs, though, they get down into crevices. That's why I try to do a really good job of cleaning off whatever I can. Like, I could probably clean off more. This one didn't have any, though. This one was clean. So, but yeah, they'll get into this kind of stuff. So it's a really good idea to clean that off. Boy, I just was not very thorough, was I? I also scraped quite a lot of the soil off the top just in case there were any hanging out in the soil or any eggs hanging out in the soil. And then I sprayed them all down so they look wet, not from water, but from being sprayed. So I'm just going to leave them alone for a little bit, probably give them a little bit of water day after tomorrow, and we'll reassess the mealybug situation in a week. I'll probably keep them on a weekly spray regimen for, well, at least 3 applications. And that's kind of the hard part when I have plants kind of mixed together in the Hartley. I don't like to spray a lot of stuff in there because of the glass windows. I don't want to get them messy or, you know, get extra spray on anything. So usually what I'll do is kind of let things go a little bit, which I shouldn't, and then gather them up, bring them somewhere else where they can just do their thing. And these are some of the Streptocarpus we're going to be working with today. They are gorgeous. Here's the other variety. Oh my goodness. They've been in bloom for weeks and weeks and weeks. In fact, I could probably stand to go through and groom off some spent blooms. So Streptocarpus Lady Slippers Blue Ice is the name of this one right here. And they are just stunning. They're actually related to African violets. So the care is quite similar in that they like bright indirect light. They don't want to be, especially in like a glass greenhouse situation, they don't necessarily want to be in full sun. However, with the weather cooling off a little bit, like in the middle of winter, even in the sun, they can handle it. So where I'm putting them today, even if they get some sun for a couple of weeks and it's a little bit on the warm side, it will start to not be on the warm side here very soon. But they also like to dry out a little bit between watering. They don't need a ton of water. I've found that just even in their little plastic containers. I mean, I probably give them water once every 10 days or so, maybe a week to 10 days. And they clearly appreciated the grow lights. So we'll see what it does to them to move them into the Hartley. I did figure that of all the places that they could be, that was probably one of the best because they'll get super bright light. I'm in there all the time. I'm the most consistent with my houseplants in that structure. as opposed to houseplants anywhere else. So I'm really looking forward to it. Now I do have 3 of these planted in a container altogether, still in the studio that we will grab, as well as I've got 3 of these, which this one is something blue veined. Lady Slippers Deep Blue Veined. Oh my gosh, they're so pretty. They create these super long leaves. This one's a little damaged, so I'm going to pop that off. They're really easy to groom. But look at the depth of color here. So gorgeous. Now this one has been the least prolific in the bloom department. That's Lady Slippers Yellow Pink Cap, but they are so beautiful. There's the tag right there. I just love all these colors. And I think it's going to be so nice to have some big color in the Hartley because it's been a while. So I've brought over a menagerie of pots and saucers. I've got a pot that my mom brought over for me that I really wanted to use too, right here. Look how gorgeous that thing is. And I also thought maybe we could put 3 in a windowsill planter. That would look really cute on one of the windowsills in there. However, I'm going to have to check to see if the windowsill's wide enough for the saucer. I don't know that it is. And we're using the organic potting mix, nothing else. So this should all be pretty straightforward. I'm just gonna get them all potted. I'll show you close up on our first one just so you can see the root system, and then we'll get them all done and arranged in the Hartley. I love that the sun went behind a cloud for a minute. Oh, feels so good out here. We woke up to a bunch of wind this morning, just a tremendous amount of wind and a huge mess outside. So I'm thankful for the stillness and the temperature out here. Whew. Oh, sun just came back out. First thing I'm going to do is pop our tidy tray onto this table to catch any dirt that I spill, which I will. That way we can use it all. Okay, we're going to plant up this pretty pot first. So we've got a nice drain hole at the bottom. We're going to fill it up quite full to begin with. Soil packs down pretty nicely. Plus we can pop any out that we don't need into our tray. We'll remove our plant from its pot. You can see there the root system. It's looking really nice. Okay, maybe I put too much soil in here. Okay, we're gonna do this little number right here where we use the container as a guide. We'll fill in around the container. That way we don't have to mess around the leaves too much. Okay, so I think I've got the soil packed in pretty nicely. So we'll remove our little guide pot. And then we can just slide our plant right down in there. Oh, look at how gorgeous this is. Oh my gosh, look at that. That is so pretty. And what's better than one pot like that? 2. This is called the Floral Cartouche, Cartouche something. I don't know. It's from Unique Stone. If my windowsill was not north facing and under an overhang, I would put these near my kitchen sink because I think that would be beautiful, but it's a little too dark for those in my kitchen. These don't need huge pots to grow. Most of them stay fairly small, kind of like African violets. So, you know, there's some varieties, I guess, of Streptocarpus I've never had, like the really dwarf ones, but there are some that stay really small and you need like a 3-inch pot for varieties like this. Now you can see that these are kind of biggish, but I think, you know, having anything over 6 inches is not bad, but not necessary. Really, I mean, you could see the root system. They're not like a super extensive system. Okay. Which one is the most like well-rounded? Probably this one. They're actually on the dry side today. I need to give them some water. Oh gosh. It's so pretty. All right, guys, so I'm just going to continue on until I've got them all potted up. All right, we got them all potted up. Look at how gorgeous this little row is. Oh my word. And then I put 3 of the pink. This leaf needs to come off. And that leaf looks good. This one can come off. Anyway, 3 pink in this container right here because it was a larger size container. And then we've got some individuals over here as well as 1 more container that has 3 of the pink, which I think they'll do really well together, even though, you know, root balls are pretty close together, but these just don't tend to grow as quickly as the purple varieties. I don't know why. We'll see what they do now that they're all repotted. Okay, so we're gonna load them up in the Gator and get them over to the Hartley. Okay, got all the plants in here. I think I've got saucers that will fit pretty much everything, except for maybe this one. I might have to go get 1 gray saucer. I'm gonna go ahead and put a curtain up just to go to about right here, about midway through this window, to protect the plants that I put right here. They're not used to the sun. I got to thinking about it, and I think shading them for this first little bit while they're in here is probably a good idea. Aaron's on his way out with the curtain, and he's gonna help me lift that begonia pot to get the saucer underneath it. I brought a few of these risers in here too, these little rectangular shaped ones. I've got them in green and then this black one right here so that we could get some different elevation if we need it. Now, this is not something we have to leave up, you know, for the whole entire winter, just for now. It's all clean though. I took all the curtains down and washed them, and then these I left up. All right, guys, we got them all in here. They're so beautiful. Now, I went to the studio and I grabbed 1 of the pots that we had done before. I need to bring the other 2 over here, but I kind of want to clean the floor first, which I don't have time to do today because they're going to have to go on the floor somewhere, and the floor is pretty bad. But look at this gorgeous display. Oh my word. We're going to just have to deal with the curtain for a couple of weeks, I think. But my goodness, they are beautiful. So I started with this one in the back, which this is the only one I didn't have a proper saucer for. You can see I've got it sitting on a terracotta saucer, but it doesn't quite fit. At least it'll catch water. But I just kind of bounced them around. I wanted different heights, different elevations of each pot. I've got these little individual wood kind of risers as well, which have come in really handy. And there's one of the green ones, the gold edge there. Oh, I just love them. And then there's our new little table display, all fresh and clean. And then over here, oh my goodness. This is one of the ones that I already had potted in the studio from, a little while ago, and they are just fantastic. Now this one is 3. I have 3 individual plants potted together in one container to get that really full look. And then I did have to tuck the windowsill planter over on a windowsill, so very appropriate. Doesn't quite fit, but good enough. I do have a windowsill planter that's a little less wide than this one, but it's not deep enough for these root balls. So I had to go with the bigger one, which, this saucer is a little over large, but it'll be fine. Nobody's really walking right by it because of this one. Because it's kind of tucked, no one's gonna really snag it, but you can see it's kind of hanging off the edge here. So pretty though. Oh, but look at that over there. Oh my word, the color. And these bloom all the time. All the time in bloom. There's always some color. They lull a little bit from time to time. But I mean, as far as my experience with these, not these particular plants, but having streptocarpus in the past, is that they just like load on the blooms and keep them. So little effort too. I'll come in with fertilizer on these kind of like I do with African violets about once a month if they're lucky, but they tend to thrive on just not being fussed with very much. So they're the perfect type of plant for me. So pretty. And that one over there, my gosh, that's gorgeous. I just really hope that they don't mind their transition into the greenhouse versus being directly underneath grow lights in the studio. They've had very, very consistent light, consistent care for the past 2 to 3 months, however long I've had them. And I just noticed that they've thrived on that. So hopefully they don't mind the transition. Hopefully they're okay in here. I think the lighting wise, they should be okay. Anyway, we'll just see how they do. One more update. I've noticed a couple of questions about our cinnamon tree that we picked up last winter. It's doing great. It hasn't done a whole lot. A few of its leaves burned a bit this summer. I had it in a different location and I moved it over here. And since you can see it's kind of in a shady spot, it's done a lot better. In fact, all of these plants used to be over here. And in the summertime, these 2 corners get nailed with sun. And that one's still getting maybe a little bit too much. But anyway, our cinnamon tree is doing great. You can see a bunch of new growth up here that it has pushed. So I'm thankful for that. It should be a fun winter in here. And that is gonna do it for our projects for today. I love it. I love the fact that they're in here. We get to see them every time we walk in. And they're not tucked away under grow lights. I mean, I know plants love that. And it's nice to have some plants in there too. We do spend some time in there, but especially this time of year, I love to be out here. And having the color in here, I think is just better. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.